Welcome to Chanel. The latest. The Air Force in Kiev, on Monday, said it had repelled about a dozen Russian drone attacks overnight. A total of 17 attacks with Iranian kamikaze drones, of the type Shahed 136 were registered, the armed forces in Kiev announced on Tuesday morning. The Air Force said that 14 drones were shot down. Reports of explosions came from the port city of Odessa on the Black Sea, where authorities reported the destruction of infrastructure, including one business. According to the Ukrainian military, almost 70 attacks were repelled by Russia, including rocket and artillery attacks. One of the focal points continued to be the region of Bakhmut in the eastern Ukrainian region of Donetsk, they said in Kiev. According to them, the battle for the strategically important city of Bakhmut continues. Earlier, the head of the Russian private army Wagner, Yevgeny Prigozhin, had declared that the administrative center had been taken and thus the city had been legally captured. The leadership in Kiev has rejected this. Experts from the U.S. Institute for the Study of War, ISW, however, supported Prigozhin's claim after analyzing images. According to the think tank, Wagner's troops are advancing in the center of Bakhmut with the support of regular units from the Russian armed forces. Bakhmut has been contested since late summer. This year, the fighting has turned into the bloodiest battle of the full-scale Russian invasion, which has lasted more than a year. Russian drones struck the southern port city of Odessa overnight, while Finland officially joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization on Tuesday. Russian forces launched 17 Iranian-made Shahed drones from the east coast of the Sea of Azov into Ukrainian territory, according to Ukraine's Air Force. 14 of the drones were shot down, Ukrainian officials said, but several state-owned enterprises in Odessa were hit. Just now, the enemy struck Odessa, the government of the region posted on Facebook early Tuesday morning, adding later in the morning, there are several hits on one of the state-owned enterprises. Another drone struck near the city of Nikopol, a frequent Russian target located across the Dnipro River from the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station. Since the first Shahed attacks last fall, Ukraine's improving air defenses, bolstered by new systems from the west, have blunted their effectiveness, shooting down the vast majority of the drones Russian forces have launched this year. The U.S. on Tuesday announced another $2.6 billion in security aid for Ukraine, the 35th package of U.S. security aid since the start of war. Of the new funding, $500 million in aid will come from existing U.S. stockpiles to quickly provide Ukrainian forces with additional ammunition for U.S.-provided high-mobility artillery rocket systems or HIMARS, munitions for Patriot air defense systems and tank ammunition. The remaining $2.1 billion will fund building an array of radars, munitions and vehicles over the longer term, according to the Pentagon announcement. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, meanwhile, is embarking on a new diplomatic push as he seeks to secure additional arms and economic assistance. On Monday, Mr. Zelensky met with former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Republican members of Congress, including Rep. Mike Turner of Ohio, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. There is overwhelming bipartisan support in America to continue assisting #Ukraine in its fight against Russian aggression, Mr. Turner wrote on Twitter. Mr. Zelensky posted a similar message on Telegram. The United States stands by us and fights with us for common goals, he wrote. We feel bipartisan support from the White House. Mr. Zelensky is scheduled to visit Poland on Wednesday. Ahead of his trip, Ukraine received the first installment of a $15.6 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund, according to Kyiv officials. The funds are designed to help Ukraine shore up its economy. Damage since last February totals more than $134 billion, according to a joint report from the United Nations, the government of Ukraine, the European Union and the World Bank. Economic losses total an additional $289 billion. In addition, Finland became NATO's 31st member on Tuesday, with an official flag-raising ceremony in Brussels. Finland's accession to the alliance ends its decades-old policy of neutrality, and will roughly double NATO's border with Russia. The inclusion of Finland's self-sufficient military and robust weapons industry will also boost NATO's capabilities. Finland cleared the last obstacle to joining the alliance last week when Turkey's parliament approved the Nordic country's membership, following a months-long diplomatic dispute in which Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan threatened to block Sweden and Finland from joining the alliance over their alleged ties to Kurdish militant groups. Sweden, which has disputed Turkey's accusations, is awaiting approval from both Turkey and Hungary. Today is the day. It is a big day for Finland, of course, Finland's defense minister Antti Kaikkonen told reporters as he arrived at NATO's headquarters in Brussels Tuesday. Our next goal is, of course, to get our good neighbor Sweden to the full membership as well. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg, meanwhile, said that while Russian President Vladimir Putin had pointed to the alliance's expansion as justification for invading Ukraine, by doing so he had prompted further expansion. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Finland's accession to NATO threatens Russia's national interests and compels Moscow to take countermeasures to ensure the country's security, without specifying what the measures would be. He said Moscow would closely monitor how the North Atlantic Bloc will exploit the territory of Finland. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said that under the new circumstances, we are taking retaliatory measures, defending the security of the Union state. Though far from wreaking the level of devastation of Russian attacks on its soil, Ukraine continues to strike back across the border. Russian governors say their regions came under attack by Ukrainian fires, drones, and a partisan group aligned with Kyiv. Belgorod Oblast has come under attack several times this week, Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov said on his Telegram channel. An unmanned aerial vehicle was shot down by an air defense system in the Valoisky urban district, he wrote Thursday. There were no casualties or damage, its remains fell into the field. The task force is surveying the area. The drone, a Poseidon H-10 used by Ukraine for reconnaissance and correcting fires, was found about 12.5 miles from the border. On Wednesday, the village of Novaya Tavolzhanka, Shebekinsky district, fell under the mortar shelling of the armed forces of Ukraine, Gladkov stated. There were no casualties. The administration of the rural settlement promptly evacuated the residents of the shelled streets in armored cars to a safe distance. Gladkov said that according to preliminary information, 3 private households and 3 cars were damaged by shell fragments in that incident. Windows were broken and facades and roofs were damaged as well. The Shebekinsky urban district also came under attack the day before, said Gladkov. In Novaya Tavolzhanka, 2 explosive devices were dropped from a